I yield my time to the distinguished ranking member from the great state of California, Congresswoman Waters.
Well, thank you very much. This has been a very interesting discussion. And we have heard from people who basically have different philosophies about life. And we've heard from people who have taken this personally. We've heard from people who, I believe, simply don't get it, simply don't understand. If Mr. Williams' father made car loans available to African Americans when they could not get any car loans from anybody else, when people would not sell to them, yes, there was a time in history when that happened. And so I know you have to recognize when discrimination takes place because your father, as you have described, related to the fact that people were being discriminated against, and he did something about it. And whether it is a denial to sell a car or give a loan, or whether it is charging higher interest rates, even though you're selling a car, that's discrimination. Mr. Pittenger talked about his friend E.V. Hill, Reverend E.V. Hill, a big minister who has passed on in South Los Angeles, who had a church in a very poor community where people stand in line at these little convenience stores. These convenience stores operate in areas where there are food deserts and no real big supermarkets are there, and they pay double the price for food that is very necessary for their life and their children's nutrition. And so, if he knows anything about E.V. Hill and the fact that he fed people and that he helped folks who were discriminated against, people who were overcharged, people who need Section 8 in order to be able to access housing because of high prices, if he knows anything about what E.V. Hill was and what he was all about, then he should understand. And to simply say that car dealers will sell to anybody, that's not our argument here today. Our argument is not today the same as Mr. Williams' father was engaged with some time ago. Our argument is, yeah, they'll sell to you, but they'll charge you more, that the interest rates are higher, that the cost for the car is higher. And so we are dealing with a subject that is ongoing in this country. We're dealing with the subject that I have said repeatedly we'd rather not have to deal in. And for those who are ignorant about discrimination and don't know what role public policy plays in it, you examine what you do here. You examine the issues that come before you. You examine the issues where we're talking about discrimination. And please, do not say that until the CFPB is perfect, they should not deal with discrimination in car dealings and car lending. And that's what I'm hearing. But I simply think that when one makes the argument that the CFPB has problems and therefore they don't have the credibility to carry out their responsibility, I see that as an excuse to just ignore the fact that discrimination is taking place. And so this will be, again, uncomfortable for a lot of folks. Because many in this room on both sides of the aisle don't feel that they're supporting discrimination. I'm going to chalk it up to you just not knowing any better, that you just don't get it, that you just don't understand, that you don't feel it in your heart, that you don't know it when you see it. And I am asking you, whether it's at this moment or when you go to home tonight and before you go to bed, I want you to think about it. I want you to think about your role in government. I want you to think about public policy and what role it plays in the lives of all folks. And I want you to think about why you have ongoing systemic poverty that does not go away and what's happening to the meager incomes of many of those folks. And I want you to think about the fact that you have the ability to do something about it. So I'm asking you to examine not your motives, but examine your heart and engage yourself in the kind of discussion that may help you to change your mind. I yield back the balance of my time.
I yield back.
Thank you. It's your time.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.